All right, shalom, shalom. First off, I want to give all honor, glory, and infinite worship to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakha, HaKodash, Lalam Yom. With Yahweh being the true name of the Heavenly Father, who the worldly calls God. Bahashem meaning in the name. Yahweh Shai being the true name of the Lord, Savior, nation of Israel, who the world inly calls Jesus Christ. And the Rakha, HaKodash meaning the Holy Spirit in the ancient Pali Hebrew tongue. I want to give double honors to my apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone, who rule well and who are the true leaders of the nation of Israel. And also want to say peace and blessing to the Lord's elect. All right, which is also includes you few sisters that are listening and learning. All right, this is your brother Mashal. Come back at you with a quick lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, representing the Cleveland Church of Great Millstone. I want to say the Wadi Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, forgive me the spirit and having the mercy for allowing me to do this lesson. And I think I'm gonna title this lesson something to the effects of a message to you, the Israelites who look like the other nations. Okay, a message to the Israelites who look like the other nations. And there is a narrative being painted, okay, especially with this term Black Hebrew Israelites going around, and in the narrative with that. All right, and this is what the beloved Elder Malcolm, the head of the Great Millstone Chicago Church, always says in his opening, where this is not a black only thing. All right, this is not a black only thing. A lot of some of the men that you see out there on the highways and hedges that are chocolate could be Edomites. Okay, through bloodline. A lot of so-called white people could be Israelites through bloodline. So this isn't a black only thing, man. This is a lineage ordeal. Okay, this is why the lineage of Yahweh Shai was important. Okay. That the blessings passed through Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob down to the 12 tribes of Israel through lineage. And throughout the course of history, throughout the different captivities, because Jake only focuses on the transatlantic slave trade. Okay, we were being traded back and forth from the west coast of Africa, okay, into the so-called Caribbean, all right, into the Americas. Right, but people forget that there were many slave trades, man. Some of these Ishmaelites are actually Israelites, okay, through the sub-Saharan slave trade. Right, a lot of I ain't gonna say a lot, but some of these Elamites, which are East Indians, okay, are Israelites because of a slave trade called the Silk Road slave trade, a slave trade that went through Egypt, going through Israel, parts of Europe, okay, and going all the way through the land of so-called India, all the way into China. Some of these Moabites, man, are Israelites. All right. Some of these Ammonites, these Japanese are some of them are Israelites, man. And even amongst the circumcision, you have the narrative of black only Israelites, man. So-called black only Israelites. And my message is to you, if you believe in the name and you do the works that the scriptures tell you to do as a man and a woman of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, then you are an Israelite. You know what? Let's open up with this. What's that? Romans 8. Because this is just a quick thing that just hit my spirit. I was going to go into something else, but this is what it is, man. Romans 8 and verse 16, it said, the Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of the Most High Yahweh, man. You see? So it's a spiritual thing, man. You're gonna have Israelites that look like Hamites, man, like Africans. And when you read Exodus, it tells you that the Lord doeth put a difference between the Egyptian in Israel. Okay, but now we're so far removed from that captivity that we don't even know who's who, man. But what the Spirit bears witness, man. When a Hamite comes up to the camp, you know he's a Hamite, man. When a person walks up that looks like an Edomite, but he's humble, he listens, doesn't interrupt, right? He could be an Israelite. because the spirit is bearing witness, man. And this is why the scriptures say, he that is spiritual judgeth all things. Man, you see, a lot of these guys out here are so carnal that they'll look at somebody and say, oh, well, he's an Edomite. Bow down and kiss my feet. You see? When it's up to Yahweh to separate the sheep from the goats, right? The angels are going to do that. Let me get that real quick. Sheep and goats. Matthew 25 and 32. All right, and this is after when the destruction is going to take place, right? Verse 31. I'm going to start at verse 31. It says, when the Son of Man shall come in his glory, okay, Yahushua coming in his glorified body with the power, like it tells you in Revelation about he sat on a white horse, okay, representing pure power. All right, and it says, and all the holy angels with him, then he shall sit upon his throne of his glory. And before him shall be gathered all nations. All right, all nations are going to be gathered together, man. Right? And what's going to happen? And he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divideth his sheep from the goats. Right? And see, and then that's where the angels are going to be able to, because we can't tell, man. You know, we've been in Babylon so long, not only just in Babylon for these last 300 years, right? But the multiple captivities before that, the Greek captivity, the Medo-Persian captivity, the Babylonian captivity. All right, the Egyptian captivity, and different side captivities where we were scattered, man. It is what it is because of the punishment, but that doesn't stop the bloodline and the spirit resonating within these men, women, and children. Right? Verse 33, it says, and he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on the left. You see? So now it's going to be a separation, because right now we don't know who's who, man. This is why we don't puff ourselves up. This is why we teach with humility. This is why we teach like we could be destroyed tomorrow, man. That's how it's supposed to be. But see, the majority of Israelites camps, what do they do? They're so carnal that they look on the outward appearance, man. They look at somebody with blonde hair and blue eyes and say, oh, he's an Edomite. When we already have the understanding, you know what? Let's do this. Let's do this. Because I always get this. I always do this. Let's go to Blake Griffin, right? We all know who we should know who Blake Griffin is, right? Now, this is Blake Griffin. All right, now you can tell he's well, there's no such thing as mixed, but you can tell that he has two different ethnic DNA in him, I'm gonna say. All right, but when you go to his father, this is Blake Griffin's father, man. I believe he's from Levi. All right, you see, this is what happens, man. You get Blake Griffin in the middle. All right, this is his father, and this is his mother, Edomite. Now you make him. All right, and then you see his father and his mother. But now, what happens when Blake Griffin has a child with an Edomite? This is Blake Griffin's son. Blonde hair. I don't know if his eyes are blue or brown. All right, but if you would see him walking the streets, you would the carnal man would say, "Hey, he's the Edomite." You see, but we see Blake Griffin's father looks like a dark-skinned Israelite. But this is what happens when the DNA is mixed. Okay, but through the seed of the father, like it says in the book of Numbers, that's how that, and because why? Because that's how the lineage is passed on, right? Through the seed of his father, this child is an Israelite because of blood. He's a Levite. And this is just 2 generations. You see? So imagine centuries and centuries of mixing like this. And those that are quick to condemn people that look like Edomites, you're going to get judged, man. You're going to have to answer for your inability to go deeper in the spirit. And what's going to happen? You're going to say, hey, well, you're going to start stuttering and, big ass lips bubbling together. And then the Lord going to smite your ass with death, man. And this is why the scriptures say, you know what? Let's do this. Yahweh shall say, who are to judge another man's servant, right? Let's see. I'm gonna have to do. Bear with me. Romans 14 and verse 4. Oh, is that the one I want? Kind. Romans chapter 14 and verse 4. It says, who art thou that judgest another man's servant? To his own master he standeth or falleth. Yea, he shall be holding up, for the Most High is able to make him stand. You see, so ultimately, through the understanding and the faith, you're going to be held up by Yahweh B'Shem Yahshai. This is why we don't judge none of Yahweh B'Shem Yahshai servants. Okay, because we could have been easily judged. Right? We could have been left out there hanging. But the Spirit compelled us to come into this thing, man. And this is my message. And I know brothers like-minded is right with me, man. This is my message to you Israelite foreigners, man. Don't let these goofy big-headed Israelite camps tell you that you aren't an Israelite, man. If you believe on the name Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, and you do the works to exemplify that name, to uplift that name, you're an Israelite, man, and you have a chance to be saved, man. Don't let nobody tell you any different, man. Let's go to 1 Samuel, chapter 16. And verse 7, it says, but Yahweh B'Shem Yahshai said unto Samuel, look not on his countenance, or on the height of his stature, because I have refused him. For Yahweh B'Shem Yahshai seeth not as man seeth. For man looketh on the outward appearance, but the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahshai looketh on the heart. You see? So it's about how you conduct yourself, your mannerisms. You got Israelites, they got the longest fringes on, but they ain't nothing but niggas, man. And they're the ones condemning the ones who seeking out the truth that may look like a Moabite, man. They may look like a Hamite. They may look like an Edomite. But their bloodline goes back to our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, just like the next dark-skinned Israelite. These are the things that we constantly have to hit the point on, man. Because why? Because when you go to Revelation, what's that, 14? I think it's 14. No, 7. Salaki. Sometimes I get it mixed up. Revelation 7. In verse 4, I'm gonna jump around. Revelation 7 and verse 4 says, and I heard the number of them which were sealed, and they were sealed in 100 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. And this is the elect, right? The joint heirs with Yahweh Shai. Okay, the governing body with Yahweh Bashem with Yahweh Bashem Shai being the head. Okay, and King David being right underneath Yahweh Shai. All right, and when you jump down, it's gonna go into 12,000 from each tribe. Okay, which you get 144,000. Right? In verse 9, it says, and after this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man can number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands. You see? So this is the Apostle John seeing men, women, and children that don't look like the typical Israelite, man. They're gonna look different. Why? Because the ones that may look different may have been scattered to a different part of the world, man. Now, I'm not saying every Edomite is an Israelite. Hell no. I'm not saying every Hamite is an Israelite. Hell no. But it's a remnant of those nations that are Israelites. And this is what we have to continue to remember. And this is why Great Millstone teaches the way that they do, man. This is why you may watch a video and it may be someone who may looks like a Edomite, but he's an Israelite, man, because he's on fire for Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. He praises the name Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. His anastrophe exemplifies Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Then you got Israelites or so-called Israelites that's as dark as Wesley Snipes that are actually Edomites, man. Chocolate-covered Edomites. You know, let's go to Psalms real quick. Psalms chapter 7. And verse 9, it says, "Oh, let the wickedness of the wicked come to an end." Okay, hey, Yahweh Shai separating the sheep from the goats, and them goats is gonna be what? It's gonna be slain, right? Because the sheep hear the shepherd's voice, like it says in John the 10th chapter. So if you're an Israelite that happens to look like a Chinese person in China, you listen and you believe, man, keep doing your thing, man. If you're an Israelite in Europe and you believe on the name Yahweh Bashem Yahushai and you try to do the works to your best of your ability, you have the faith, man, keep doing your thing, man. Because at the end of the day, we're all at the mercy of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, man. This is why we keep doing our thing, man. Psalm 7 and verse 9, it says, "Oh, let the wickedness of the wicked come to an end, but establish the just. For the righteous power trieth the hearts and the reins." You see? So this is what Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is looking for, man. A mind not corrupted by the ways of this world. Because the nations are designed to go off. They were made that way. But when you take a look and see how Israelites move, we move different, man. We're not the same. Because of why? Because of our sincerity. And don't let nobody ruin your sincerity in this walk. Right? Hey, let's go to Acts, the 2nd chapter. What happened when everybody was gathered together, man? For Pentecost. Acts 2 and verse 5, it says, and they were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men out of every nation under heaven. But I thought only the Jews dwelt in Judea. You see? The scriptures let us know what's going on, man. Not the words of man who have a narrative because of why? Because they're taking the bag, man. It is what it is. Right? Out of every nation under heaven. It says, now when this was noised abroad, the multitude came together and were confounded because that every man heard them speak in his own language. You see? Like it said in Revelation. Okay? Of nations, kindreds, and different tongues. This is the power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, man. Verse 7, it says, and they were all amazed and marveled, saying one to another, behold, are now all these which speak Galileans? And how here we every man in our own tongue wherein we were born. Parthians and Medes and Elamites and the dwellers of Mesopotamia and in Judea and Cappadocia and Pontus and Asia and Phrygia and Pamphylia and Egypt and in the parts of Libya about Cyrene, and strangers of Rome, Jews and proselytes, Cretes and Arabians. We do hear them speak in our tongues the wonderful works of the Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, man. All these different nations, man. That shows you the power of the Spirit, because when you go to you know what, let's go to Baruch. The 4th chapter, in the 37th verse, it says, lo, thy sons come, whom thou sentest away. They come gathered together from the east to the west by the word of the Holy One, rejoicing in the glory of the Most High Yahweh, man. You see, from the east to the west. They come gathered together, man. Under what? Under this one understanding. The doctrine which unites us all. Through what? Through faith. Not what you look like, man. So the word is going to ignite that fire in you, man. We already know how Moab get down with eating abominations, but you got some Moabites that don't do that shit, man. Because it's something in them. It tells you that in Romans, the 2nd chapter. Right? You know what? Let's get it, man. Romans 2. Whoo. Man, I ain't got that much time. Let's see. Romans 2. Let me get to the point. You know what? Let me jump down. I'm gonna start at 1. I'm gonna jump down to 14. It says, therefore thou art inexcusable, O man, whatsoever thou art that judgest. For wherein thou judgest another, thou condemnest thyself. For thou that judgest doest the same things. You see, and you got a lot of Israelites, man, that condemn somebody for having a mote in their eye, but they got a big ass beam hanging out of their eye, man. That's what happens when you don't walk in the Spirit and too busy trying to fulfill the lust of the flesh. Look at what's going on with ISUPK. Years ago, man, when I first came into truth, it was a video with Tazariak, and it was a little maybe like 13, 14-year-old child, and he had the appearance of a Hamite, right? And but he was from Nigeria, and a lot of the Nigerians are Israelites. Okay, all on the west coast of Africa. When we were when you read about 70 AD, okay, and we had to flee, and the Yahushua said to flee into the mountains, right? Some of us fled into Europe. Others fled into so-called India, right? Up into Turkey, right? Things like that. But the majority of the Southern Kingdom fled into the west coast of Africa. Man, they had to stop near Egypt, okay, and then they eventually settled on the west coast of Africa, and that's where you get the Edomites and the Hamites doing the trade when you read the book of Joel. All right, so we're going to be all over the place, man. You see, so when you judge someone else, you're going to be judged for those same things, man. All right, but jumping down to verse 14. It says, for when the Gentiles, okay, the Israelite foreigners, all right, the ones who may not have the appearance of an Israelite, but their spirit bears witness, right? They try to come out of these different philosophies and doctrines that they've been indoctrinated in, just like we were indoctrinated in American, being an American, right? Or being a Puerto Rican, or being a Mexican, right? Or being a Cuban. We were rebuked out of that, man. And Tawadi Habashimashah that we're able to rebuke the ones that may not have that foundation. The ones who may be stuck in the middle because they may look like everybody, all the nation around them, man. Tawadi Habashimashah that we're able to help these people out, man. Our brothers, our sisters. Romans 2:14, for when the Gentiles which have not the law do by nature the things contained in the law, these having not the law are a law unto themselves. They do the law through what? Through sincerity, man, through trying. And you got Jakes that don't even do that, man. 2/3. So this is why we got to continue to push, man. Let's go to Deuteronomy real quick. Deuteronomy 4 and 27. Verse 27. It says, and Yahweh Shemel Shai shall scatter you among the nations, and ye shall be left few in number among the heathen, whither the Lord shall lead you. You see, we were scattered, man. And when you read Deuteronomy 28 and 64, it tells you that we were going to be scattered, man. And we were going to serve different gods. That's the punishment. But now what? Now the restoration is happening, man. And the restoration begins with the word. And the word is Yahweh Shai. He was set up to be that light for the Gentiles, man. You Israelite foreigners that believe and have hope, but you may not have that way. This is the push. Right? Verse 28, and there you shall serve gods, the works of man's hands, wood and stone, which neither see nor hear nor eat nor smell. Verse 29, but from it thence shall seek the Lord thy power, man. Thou shalt find him. Salakia.
Let me grab your chalk for
Okay, cool. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. All right, man. You have a good one. All right.
See you next time.
All right, thanks. Yeah, Salakia. And see, and he has an appearance of an Edomite, but I don't know if he's an Edomite or not, man. You see? Because he could be an Israelite and I could be an Edomite, man. Lord willing, I ain't no Edomite. You know what I'm saying? But hey, but this is why we do the work that we put our the pedal to the metal, man. Hey, and if you don't have that pedal to the metal, man, then you lukewarm and you gonna get spewed out anyway, man. So if you on fire, you on fire, no matter what you look like on the outside, right? Deuteronomy 4 and verse 29 again. It says, but from it thou shalt seek Yahweh Bashem Yahushua thy power, thou shalt find him, if thou seek him with all thy heart and with all thy soul. And that's doing it in truth and sincerity, man. You're gonna have men that's not sincere about this truth, man. Because why? Because they're not fully persuaded in their own mind. Verse 30, it says, when thou art in tribulation, and all these things are come upon thee, even in the latter days, if thou turn to the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yashai thy power, and shalt be obedient unto his voice, for Yahweh Bashim Yashai is a merciful power, he will not forsake thee, neither destroy thee, nor forget the covenant of the fathers which he swore unto them. You see? So no matter where you end up at in the latter days, man, you could be in downtown Manhattan, New York City, or some tribe in the Philippines, man. In the latter days, if you believe, you're going to be protected, man. As long as your works exemplify your faith. And that's where a sincere heart comes in, man. Let's go to Isaiah. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 11, because to tell you when in these last days where certain of the Israelites would come from, man. Let's see. Isaiah 11 and verse 10, it says, and in that day there shall be a root of Jesse. And who is that root of Jesse? Yahweh Shai. Okay, he had to spring out of the loins of Judah, man. It says, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. You see, the Israelite foreigners, man. The ones who may have a hard time being accepted. That's what happens. You even got in the tribes. Okay, you have different you got like Afro Latinos, right? That get that get separated from the regular Latinos, man. You got Afro Mexicans that are darker skinned, and they get, shunned by the lighter skinned Mexicans. All of this is a whole bunch of folly, man. The scriptures likened us into a speckled bird. We're going to be coming in all different colors, man. Sizes, shapes. That's what the Spirit does, man. But this is why this is a spiritual walk. Verse 11. Isaiah 11 and 11. It shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt and from Pathros and from Cush and from Elam and from Shinar and from Hamath and from the islands of the sea. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel and gather together his dispersed from Judah from the four corners of the earth. You see, this is what will happen in the last days. When we go to James, the first chapter and the first verse, it says, James, a servant of the Most High Yahweh and of the Lord Yahweh Shah Hamashayak, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting. All right, now when you get this word scattered,
Strong's G1290. Diaspora.
all right, diaspora, right? And we in the modern word is dispersed. So we were dispersed throughout all the world, man. Right? And it goes a scattering, dispersion. of Israelites dispersed among foreign nations, man. So this is the true understanding. The Israelites will be scattered amongst the nations, man. It's not that hard to understand. And with that scattering of the into the different nations, they're gonna look like those people that where they dwell at, man. You know, and we're gonna end it off here, man, because I got to get going. 2 Corinthians chapter 10. And verse 7. It says, do you look on the things after the outward appearance? If any man trusts himself that he is Hamashiach, let him of himself think this again, that that as he is Hamashiach, even so are we Hamashiach. You see? So the tabernacle of David is being built, man. We don't look on the outward appearance, because the elect are gonna look on the all type of different shades on the color chart, man. From dark brown to light brown. Hell, some of them even may have lost their pigment. But that's what happens when these captivities are happening over and over and over again. But this is the last captivity. When we get these new bodies, everybody's going to get their pigmentation back, man. All the Israelites will be a beautiful shades of brown. All men are going to have beautiful beards, man. That's what I'm looking forward to. Just bear with me in my folly. Well, you know, mine's a little patchy. It is what it is, man. Knowing that we're going to get these new bodies anyway, man. That's why our faith isn't wavered. We're unmovable. And even if you have the appearances of a heathen, you will be unmovable too, man. You will have the faith all the way into the end, man. All right, so Lord, one of us was edifying. I want to give all honor, glory, and infinite worship to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rcha HaKodash, Shalom Yom. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops, great millstone, who rule well. Till next time I say, Shalom.